to city, shot city, city, dodge city, water city, I'm everywhere, man.
That was actually our last Altair Travel trip. That was the itinerary. Joining us from Altair Travel Cruises, back after a 2-week jaunt around the Mediterranean, is Sherry Norris from Altair Travel Cruises. Good morning, Sherry.
Good morning, McGraw. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Sherry.
So the final results on the trip, everybody had a good time?
Yes, everybody had a good time. We had a great group of people, and I think we really did good on the weather, and I think everybody just really enjoyed it. It was a wonderful itinerary.
It really was. And you know what? We've talked about WinStar before, but it's not just going to the ports, Venice and Croatia and Montenegro, and it was how we got to the ports, missing all the crowds and missing all the heat. And I mean, that was not only was it getting to the ports, but it was how we got there, and when we got there was just as important.
Right, because whenever we got off, especially like if we did one of the excursions with WinStar, they were always getting us somewhere earlier before the big crowds came in. So when we were in Couture and we went to the little town, we were just leaving when the big ship was coming in. So you got to see things when there wasn't hordes of people in each of the ports.
Yeah, no, it was really very special. Do you have a favorite day or a favorite event or a favorite memory?
You know, it's like each day it was like, okay, this was my favorite. And then the next day would come and it'd be like, okay, this is my favorite. So, I mean, there were just, I love Couture. I had been there one other time, but sailing into Couture that morning with the mist on the water and the water being just like glass and the fjords, I mean, that was just, as far as a sailing experience, that was, you know, the highlight.
Yeah.
As far as a sailing experience. But then I really loved being in Sicily. I had never been there before, and up on in Taormina and walking around. It was a Sunday, so there were a lot of locals out who had been done from church, and they were out on all the plazas and things like that. So that was really enjoyable. And then the one night when we passed by Stromboli, and we got to see the volcano erupting.
Yeah.
That was awesome. It was if on cue. I mean, the captain came out and he says, well, usually it erupts right about, this time. And sure enough, it was just as if he pressed a button.
Yeah.
Wow. And the fact that you put up with McGraw the whole time,
Hey,
that
hey,
in and of
there's that.
itself.
Hey, hold on a second. When you were looking at the volcano in Stromboli, I was with Jackie at the blackjack table winning. So
Okay, there you go.
there you go. You know what? There were too many going through the pictures. There are too many to talk about. But the icing on the cake was when we stayed the next day and saw the Pope and had an audience with the Pope. I mean, it's just. I mean, I'm with you. One day led into another. It was like this is unbelievable. No, this is unbelievable. I mean, it really was a spectacular trip.
Yes. And I'm so glad you got to see the Pope. That's something I've always wanted to do. I went home the day before with a lot of the people from the group.
Right.
But on Wednesdays is when he does his audience. So I was very excited that you got to see that.
Well, I've got pictures for you. And sitting on the back of the boat when we were having one of our special Altair dinners, and they said, we just caught swordfish from earlier in the day. Would you like some swordfish? And it was like, okay. So that was a pretty good deal. All right.
Nice.
Now, you sound a little under the weather.
Well, I come back to St. Louis, and then all the normal, sinus issues that, have, it's like your sinuses had a reprieve while you were away, and then they came back to St. Louis, and so I have a little bit of a stuffy nose, but feel okay.
And Pat's got a little cold, too?
Yeah, she's the same way, except she doesn't have a voice. So my voice isn't very good, but at least I have one.
Well, you should know that the Millhaven family is listening from all over the country. Arizona, Baltimore, New York. They're all checking in to say hi and say hi to you and thank you for putting on a wonderful trip.
Them being with us, and it was nice to meet your sister Cheryl. I hadn't met her before, and Hanley, and then Samantha, Kirsten, and Linda I traveled with before, but they were all very nice, very wonderful, and you guys had lots of fun.
Yeah, it was. Everybody had a great time, and everybody couldn't have been any nicer, except for that Carl Haneke. Everyone outside of him, everybody had a good time. He was a little bit of a troublemaker, but anyway. All right, Sherry, go get well, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks
Take
a lot,
care,
McGraw.
Sherry.
All right, if you are thinking about going to Italy or thinking about a group trip or going on a something, I would highly recommend that the only way to do it is with Altair Travel Cruises, because they know things that you could just never, even if you researched it to the end of the internet, there's just things you would never know that they know. Just they have forgotten more about traveling to Europe than we'll ever know. And the way to do it right is with Altair Travel Cruises. So for all of your travel needs, Altair Travel, 314-968-9600 or altairtravel.com.